Well, hello again, friends, and welcome back to Roll Call. For those of you that are always tuning in, I'm fired up to be back here with you again. For those of you who are new this week, and there are plenty of you who are, welcome. This is the forum where we dig deeper into the concepts and principles that our team has introduced to you by way of our keynotes, our breakout sessions, our workshops, the Top Gun Teamwork Program. And if you and I have not yet met, my name is Robert Teschner, call sign Cujo, founder and CEO here at Team VMAX Group. And this week's focus is on how we go about the business intentionally developing leaders. And we're all here because leadership development is something that's interesting to us. We recognize that we all have room for growth. We also recognize, hopefully, that it's our mission, our primary responsibility, actually, to build leaders behind us who are better equipped to lead than we are so that this organization, this team, wherever we are in the matrix, is always going to be humming, always going to be rocking, even when we're not there. And as most of you who tune into Friday Roll Call know, we're always pulling from the world of high performance teams, specifically, in my case, fighter aviation, to understand how they do what they do so that we can hopefully cross apply some of those principles into our domains. So today, what I want us to talk about is how it is that we go about the business of building leaders in the tactical world. All right. And it comes down to a basic principle. We have qualifications that have to be earned. Once those qualifications are earned, once we've demonstrated proficiency in a given set of skills, then we are only qualified for a finite period of time. Then we have to go back and re-qualify to re-earn the right to do whatever it was that we were doing. And we maintain that for as long as we're flying airplanes. Good. So let's talk about one of the qualifications we have. A very basic qualification is becoming qualified as a wingman. And a wingman basically has the responsibility for hanging out with a flight lead, airborne, and doing as told. Basic foundational approach to learning the world of fighter aviation. All right. So as a wingman, in order to become a wingman, you have to go through a qualification period. You have to fly a whole bunch of different missions with instructors who are teaching and evaluating. You have to meet certain criteria in order to move on to the next ride. And at the end of this program, so there's a full syllabus, there's expectations outlined for what it is that you need to demonstrate proficiency in and what the minimum standards are for doing so and what the top standards are, et cetera. At the end of this whole process, and it typically lasts a little while, a couple of months, you have to demonstrate proficiency. You have to go take a check ride. Good. And this check ride is a big deal because you're going to fly one mission, probably the most complex thing that you're going to do as a wingman. So the most complex mission that you would have to be responsible for performing, you're going to fly with somebody that's evaluating you against criterion. And if you don't meet those criterion, you fail your check ride. And failing a check ride is a really bad thing as a fighter pilot. So you never want to fail a check ride. When you do, that blemish is carried with you for the rest of your career, and it doesn't set you up on a positive trajectory. In fact, what you don't want to do is fail the check ride. What you do want to do is to demonstrate extreme proficiency on your check ride, max perform this thing, get a score that says this person's special so that you're put into the pocket of, hey, this person's probably going to be going places in their career. So this is the implication of a check ride. One flight. And I acknowledge everybody has good days and bad days. And if you're having a bad day on your check ride day, wow, that can be a mess. Yeah, and if you fail that thing, not good. And is it fair that you could have one bad day? You could have spectacular and everything that you've done to the point where you take your check, but then on that one day you have the bad. Is that fair? I don't care. That's just how it is. So, I mean, everybody knows that on the day of the check ride, high pucker factor, you're giving it your all. You're doing the very best that you can. And what you really want to do is walk away from this thing going, yes. And what that earns you in the flying world is, I think it's 17 months now, 17 months qualification as a wingman. And towards the end of that 17-month period, you have to re-earn your qualification. So if, about a year and a half later, you're still only qualified as wingman, you haven't progressed with your career, you're not a flight lead yet, you've got to go out there and fly another check ride, one flight, to verify that you're still capable as a wingman. And if you fail that one, you lose your qualification. And again, the blemish carries with you for the rest of your career. And if you do well on it, hopefully now eventually you're going to be selected to advance and become a flight lead and go through that whole process. And it's the same thing for the rest of your flying career. Even as a multi-star general, if you're qualified as a mission commander or as an instructor pilot or as a four-ship flight lead only, every 17 months, you've got to requalify at your highest level of flying qualification. You got one chance to demonstrate proficiency. So is there a sense of stress associated with this? 100%. Yeah, and what's beautiful about this is that we're constantly having to make sure that the sword is sharp, that we're ready to rock, that we can go into this thing with confidence and do it well. Because at the end of the day, the nation is requiring that of us. Good. So, key features. There's a training and preparation phase where you have to demonstrate proficiency in order to move forward. There's a qualification thing, one check ride that's conducted. High stakes affair, consequences will have lasting ramifications. And then once you make it through the check ride, you've basically just earned yourself some time because there's another check ride coming for as long as you're flying. We're constantly demonstrating tactical level proficiency at the highest level of qualification we have. Good. Now let's contrast that with the way that we develop leaders on your team. And are there any deltas? How is your approach serving you? And if you're frustrated by the skills or lack thereof of your teammates, how have you equipped them to go forth and do what it is that you're expecting them to do? What was the training program where they had to demonstrate proficiency throughout in order to make their way through it? What was the qualification phase that said, yep, you're now fully qualified to be able to do what it is that you're doing? How long does that qualification last for? Who's qualified to train? Who's qualified to certify? Who's qualified to assess, yep, you're doing things the right way and it's time for you to advance in your skill sets? And what does that advancement of skill sets look like? What's the program to get there? And since our audience is largely small business, and because of, size, resources, the amount of things that we're dealing with, oftentimes the answers to those questions are, look, we hire as best we can, we pour into and hope, and sometimes people knock it out of the park and sometimes they don't. And I completely get it. I 100% understand. I just want you to know that there's probably a better way. And what that better way requires of us is some intentionality, some pause to assess what the needs are, what the skill sets have to be, what demonstrated proficiency looks like, how it is that we demonstrate proficiency so that we can build the kind of a team that's ready to go out there and deliver exceptionally at whatever it is that we do. And so pulling from the world of high performance teams, maybe there's a way ahead for you, something at least for you to consider as you're thinking about the state of leadership and teamwork on the teams that you lead. And that's the whole point of this message. And so as we go into this weekend, it's our hope here at Team VMAX Group that you're better equipped to build a training program and a qualification program to build leaders who lead the way that you need them to build teammates, wingmen, if you will, who can team the way that you need them to so that the state of teamwork moving forward is that much better. And that's today's central focus. And just know, as always, all of us here at Team VMAX Group are rooting for you. And I look forward to being back here with you again next Friday.